good for you.
Yeah.
You've been,
Hey, Sam, ready? Are you up and
Just
ready?
started.
Okay.
Yeah.
you've been
Hey, Ray.
before, haven't you, or is this first? Oh, yeah. Well, I just actually started that thing about a little over 2 years ago now. My daughter had a baby, and then, daughter had a baby, and then son just had one 5 months ago. So got both of them. Yeah, it's like this. Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah, that's good. Okay, good, yeah, actually, just take a quick, there it is, it's actually kind of real vanilla, but the numbers are kind of starting to level out here, you know, I'm in good shape. Yeah.
My grandson works there.
Where, yeah. Great. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we'll do. Okay, Mike.
Make him.
Definitely want to do it in executive session.
Do we?
They do.
Oh, they do.
Like you said, we don't have to,
Is that okay with you? Yeah, good.
we don't have to have a decision tonight.
Oh, okay.
So,
Hey, Neil?
Hey, should we get to
Neil?
see him? Yeah.
They
I want to do it in
employ,
executive session.
Okay.
that's
Great.
okay with you.
And we don't have to make a decision tonight at the end. You'll just say we've heard both
Okay.
sides, we'd like to.
Okay, great.
Take some time to make a decision.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
But I'll give you the
Thanks.
choice of whether
Thanks.
you want to do executive or you guys choose executive.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. Hey, one second.
Is your food coming in?
I think Sammy's ready.
Do we need to ask Susan this and maybe Jim?
Do you want to move it to
You know,
the?
this thing is announced for the public here, public.
Mhm.
And then I think we can just add it to the executive session.
Why don't you check with Jim this
Why
week?
don't you, yeah.
You got more stripes than I got.
Yeah.
Sorry for the delay, folks, just a few more minutes. How you doing, Aaron? Congrats, Laura. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Spiffied up pretty nice there, buddy.
Snap these guys. It cracks me up when these guys
Once you
are all
finish
dressed
up,
up.
hearing of the public, then we'll say that we are going to adjust our agenda in the matter.
I was gonna say, it's better to be on the spring then.
Executive session.
Say that?
Yeah.
I'll mention that, okay.
Yeah, or I can say it.
Why don't you? Okay. All right, we ready to go, Sammy? Okay.
Dave, you,
Yeah, wait, no, I didn't, I got it. I'm ready.
Plug us in.
Push it one. There we go, thank you.
All right. All set?
Yes.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming. Today is May 19th, 6 o'clock, our Board of Trustees regular meeting.
We'll call the roll. Let's see, Mr. Crandall?
Here.
Mr. Mahoney?
Here.
Simcoe here. Mr. Genowine is not here, he's out of town.
Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Susan, do we have any, approval of the minutes? Were there any questions or issues on that last month?
I'll move approval.
Second?
Okay, we'll call the roll. Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. And then, Susan, any additions or deletions to the
We
agenda?
have two tonight. We have 15057, which is authorizing the execution of the safety township contracts,
Okay.
and 15060, authorizing the road service superintendent or supervisor to hire a utility worker.
Okay, great. And then that's
We'll
the
do those
resolution
under
that I
those
have here.
sections.
Okay, wonderful, thanks. Chief, we've got a special occasion today, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's hear about it.
Okay, great. If we can have Aaron come to the front, please, and his wife Laura. We have two items going on. Come on up, Laura. You gotta get in the limelight too. You're gonna have to pin them here. This is Captain Aaron Fry. Captain Aaron Fry was hired by the State Township Fire Department as a firefighter paramedic on August 18, 2003, and has served with all three shifts and all four stations. As a firefighter paramedic, he mainly worked at stations number 3 and 4. Aaron has had some adversity during his time with us. Unfortunately, he was one of the 3 firefighters that were laid off in January of 2007, and he was recalled to work in July of 2008. When he returned to the job, he had a new fire and passion for the fire service. He took on many new tasks and projects for the department and studied for the promotional exam, and in April of 2011 was promoted to the rank of lieutenant. He served at Station 2 on Engine 62. In 2014, Aaron concentrated on another goal he had and tested for the position of training captain. He was officially promoted to training captain on April 21st, 2015. Captain Fry will oversee the Fire Department Training Bureau, serve as the department training safety officer. He will develop, schedule, and implement training activities for all personnel, expand the officer development program, respond to emergency incidents, and function as the incident safety officer. He will be responsible for the implementing and overall safety of the entire operations of the fire department, and he will investigate all incidents involving off-duty injuries. Captain Fry is a State of Ohio fire instructor, certified fire safety inspector, incident safety officer, certified both in Fire Officer 1 and Fire Officer 2, and just recently Captain Fry was accepted into the charter member of the National Fire Academy's Managing Officer Program. This is a multi-year curriculum that introduces rising emergency service leaders to personal and professional skills in management, risk reduction, and adaptive leadership. The inaugural Managing Officer class consisted of 53 members. The fire and EMS officers were selected out of 300 highly competitive applicants, and I'm proud to say that he's one of those 53 that's currently participating in that program. Aaron and his wife Laura have been married 18 years, and they reside in Sylvania with their 3 daughters. Stand up, girls. It's traditional in the fire service to have the wife or the girlfriend pin, his girlfriend's not here tonight, pin the badge on Aaron, so if you will do the honors, Laura. Don't hurt him. He has to go to work tomorrow. Now it's official, Captain Fry.
All right.
I have one more item I'd like to get to real quick before we go around and shake everybody's hands. Oh, go ahead. That's fine. Come on up. I have one more real quick item. I'll be brief. Mike Behan and Jim Wolf. Jim Wolf just went on an emergency call. He was assigned to the Life Squad today, so unfortunately, he wanted to be here, but duty called, so he wasn't able to be here. Mike Behan and Jim Wolf, with the help of Deputy Chief Mike Graham, were instrumental in writing an Assistance to Firefighters grant for the fire department. This helped secure over $82,000 for the purchase of our new fire hose. The fire department is required to pressure test and inspect all of our hose on a yearly basis, and every year we have hose that fails the pressure test and no longer meets the inspection standards. By obtaining this grant, the fire department only have to spend $8,200 to purchase $90,000 worth of hose. With this grant, we'll be able to replace all of our tack lines, 1 3/4 and 2.5 inch lines, and also we'll be able to replace some 5-inch lines. I would like to commend Mike Behan and Jim Wolf for their efforts in securing this grant. Application? We're still at the fire? Still cleaning up, okay. And I got one more thing going on. Jennifer Behan, you could come front and center, please. Stand next to your significant other there. Uh-oh. You know, fire service personnel, they usually marry doctors, they marry nurses, or somebody in the medical field, and it doesn't, these are people of service to the community, and Jennifer is a nurse. And Jennifer Behan Jennifer Behan, neighbor, Jennifer Behan, an off-duty nurse, on April 15th, 2015, did in fact render CPR life-saving emergency care to an unconscious civilian who suffered cardiac arrest in the yard of his home. These actions exemplify the true dedication and outstanding professionalism in the medical field that is keeping up with the highest traditions and standards of the Sylvania Township Fire Department. Congratulations. And she did help save that gentleman's life.
Wow.
Very nice.
Great news. Thanks, Chief.
Yes.
Congratulations, Mike. Thanks for helping. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on. The hearing of the public on any agenda items only. I know we've got a few folks here tonight. Not sure if anybody signed in for tonight. Okay.
Zoning Department.
Zoning Department, Darrell?
Thanks, Chief. I always love having to follow up after that. The monthly report for April for the Zoning Department. Pretty much, as far as permits, we were right in line with the previous years. We had 49 permits for the month and estimated value of $4.1 million. Year to date, again, we're pretty much running with the previous 2 years. We're at 121 permits issued and $10.5 million of estimated value. On single-family dwelling permits, we continue to increase over last year. We have 31 year-to-date. That's a 15% increase, and that's at an estimated value of $7.1 million, and that's almost a 20% increase from last year. On complaints to the zoning department, we had 16 for the month of April, and brings us up to 35 year-to-date, which is a little bit higher than the previous 2 years. On monthly meetings, the BZA, Board of Zoning Appeals, had a variance request for a swimming pool setback, which they approved. Zoning Commission did not meet. There was nothing on the agenda. And then project plan review had the Myers Auto Wash that's going to be coming in at the corner of Central Park West and Central Avenue, and then the Yark BMW expansion on Central Avenue. And then I just have two quick little items of note. CarMax has received a 2-year extension on their project plan review that they obtained in 2013. This is a one-time extension. It's kind of unusual. We generally don't have anybody asking for an extension on PPR. Pretty much they within 2 years, they construct the project. So we sent it out to all the agencies for review again, and nobody really had any comments. There's no change in the plans. So this is a one-time approval for 2 years, and construction must begin by April 30th of 2017, or they'll have to begin the process from the beginning all over again. So hopefully by then, they'll at least have started construction. And then the other item, just always want to kind of give a shout out to any new businesses in the township. Polished Nail Bar, or Nail Salon at 7000 Central Avenue, that's over by the Kinko's. They've obtained their commercial interior renovation permit and expect to open soon. And that's all I have.
All right. Thanks for all your effort, Darrell. Hey, Chief, just a thought, but if the Fries or the Behans wanted to leave and take pictures, I know there's kids that might have homework and things that you guys got to do, you're more than welcome to stay, but you're also more than welcome to leave if that's okay with you. Yeah. So if you like sticking around, you're more than welcome to, but dinner's on. Kids are probably thinking, what are we having for dinner tonight? So
They were staying for the zoning report.
yeah, they want to hear Darrell thing. Yeah, I know, I get that. So thanks for coming, everybody.
Mr. Mahoney.
Congratulations.
Mr. Mahoney, if I have my monthly report to give, if you don't, either one of you have any questions, I would like to just have you accept the monthly report as is, and I could go also.
I think that's a great idea.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Taking up too much of your time.
Congrats.
Good evening. I'd like to first start for the road department. There should be a copy of Resolution 15060 that's not on the agenda. It was an addition. Should be a copy on your podium for you.
Okay, so,
It was an addition to the agenda.
yes, and I'm looking at, I'm sorry, here.
There should be a hard copy up there for you.
I just have 57 and 60. I know you gave it to me, too.
It's okay.
Rob. Thank you. Okay, so this is a Resolution 1560 to authorize the road superintendent to hire a utility worker.
Correct.
Okay. I'll offer that resolution.
Second?
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
I had a chance today to chat about this new hire. Sounds like they really did a good job. We had well over a dozen that went through the first screening. Would you have a couple dozen, I think? And the first screening was a dozen.
We had two hiring processes. We had a couple dozen each time, and we weeded out through the interview processes. Myself and the foreman did interviews, and then the assistant administrator did interviews with
Sounds
them.
like we did a pretty good process on this.
Good work on it, Rob.
Thank you
Yep.
and Susan for your work.
Next on the list would be the Resolution 15-058, award bid and enter into contract for the 2015 curb repair project. This project is located in the St. James subdivision area.
I'll offer Resolution 15058, enter contract in the concrete curb repair project.
Second?
Call the roll. Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
And the next item would be Resolution 15-056, authorization to install no parking signs on New West Road.
Are we putting that on the north or south side where the fire hydrants are? I know
The
that.
authorization asked to put on the north side, so the whole north side up to the center of the cul-de-sac and the far west end of the road would be no parking. That is the same side as the fire hydrant, so emergency services vehicles could still obtain access to that. And then up to 100 or 200 feet would be where another sign installation would be on the south side. So that would clear the intersection to exit and enter off of King Road.
Great.
I've spoken with some of the property owners and the tenants of some of the commercial businesses, and for the majority of them, they're all in favor of the no parking.
Rob's done a nice job.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
There's
John.
5 or 6 companies.
Yeah.
And I was can buy their half a dozen.
I posted some white paint out there where the tentative signs would be installed. So if anybody,
Actually, this week, most of them are following the
Yeah.
recommendation already, so
Great.
I think that's been a good effort to communicate with these businesses.
notification letters were sent out, and I also spoke with a good majority of the owners on the road, and to include the developer.
I'll offer Resolution 15056 to install no parking signs.
Second,
Call the roll, Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
yes,
That's all I have, sir.
Good work, Rob, on
Thank
that. That took a lot of work. Appreciate your effort.
good job, Rob, even though the fire department didn't want to stay.
And then we've got the chief. Hi, chief.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
You have before you the monthly report for April, and I'll make this very brief so our night doesn't have to be any longer. Page 2, you can see the calls that came into dispatch. I will note that totaled almost 8,500 total calls into dispatch. Page 3, calls for service. You can see at the top of the sheet, we're actually down from year-to-date last year in calls for service, but we're up in traffic citations, down in property damage accidents a little bit, up a little bit in injury accidents. But of note, even though we're down in calls for service, we are unfortunately way up in a number of major offense categories like burglaries, robberies, and assaults and such. Hopefully that'll level out, but maybe not for a while with summer coming, because summer tends to be our busiest time. Page 4, you can see our prisoner transport cost analysis. That's our contract with the city, and we continue to do very well on that, incurring minimal overtime versus what they pay us by contract. Page 5 are the crime reports throughout the township, and you'll see that Central Avenue and Monroe Street continue to be hot spots. As I've said before, Walmart is a district in itself. We also have that clothing store up on Monroe Street, Gabe's, which generates a lot of activity. But you'll see there the occurrences and the predominant locations. Page 6, as far as our accidents and DUI arrests, again, Central Avenue and Monroe Street, as you might expect, are the focus. Pennsylvania is also a street in which we incur a lot of accidents. Page 7, detective caseload stats. I won't read off all the numbers, but you can see the number of cases that were assigned, cleared, remaining active, and the number of cases cleared from previous months for the total clearance rate, all in the far right-hand column. Page 8, just a short synopsis of the activities of our detective that's assigned to the DEA task force. Of note, they seized $70,000 worth of U.S. currency. That paragraph there describes how they came to make that seizure. Page 9, with a very slow month for the canine officer. It was basically an emphasis on the end of the month. Officer Charest needed to get Speedy recertified, so they put a lot of effort in preparing Speedy for that recertification. Page 10, just activities of note in community affairs. We started the Citizens Police Academy mid-month. In fact, their graduation, it runs 6 weeks. Their graduation is tonight. And we participated in the Drug Take-Back Day on Saturday the 25th, like a lot of local agencies. DARE at Stranahan is wrapping up this week. In fact, graduation is this Thursday, and it finishes for the school year, all the elementary schools. You can see the speed trail replacement at one location. We're not getting a lot of complaints yet, but again, warm weather is just setting in, so I expect we'll probably get a lot more. And page 11 is just our fine share of revenue from Sylvania Court, and then page 12 is our training thus far. And with that, I'll answer any questions you may have.
Chief, I'm wondering, I've got a lot of calls and comments on the construction at Central and Holland, Sylvania. I'm
Yes.
assuming you're getting them too.
Yeah, I had one guy send me a whole bunch of photos and everything else.
Shortcutting through the neighborhood, I'm assuming you're on that, and giving that extra attention in your patrols.
You know, last fall, I heard about complaints of them cutting through the neighborhood, especially the neighborhood to the northeast, Waldmar, Van Fleet, those, but I haven't heard those, so I'll note that. I haven't heard that this spring
Neil,
yet.
have you had?
Yeah, I have.
I'm
but-
getting calls
Okay.
and comments. It's, I'm not even,
Mine's been more the businesses on Pennsylvania with the
Maybe
turnarounds and the,
It's an ODOT decision, I'm not sure why
No, I
they
get it.
had to do
No,
what they
I
did.
think their maintenance of traffic there. I understand it's a construction zone, but, well, you've got one lane.
Well, I noticed, I don't know if you were through there today, but they were laying the top coat of pavement. They got it through the intersection there on Central Avenue. When I was through there about 2 o'clock, it wasn't on Holland, Sylvania.
Well,
So hopefully they'll,
that means they're probably wrapping up.
but we'll watch those. I'll get out a memo to road patrol as far as the neighborhoods around there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
thanks, chief.
Thank you.
Susan?
You have a request for a liquor permit transfer. This is at 7865 West Central. It's a transfer from Sylvania Market to Advanced Radiation Medicine. It's been reviewed by both the police department and the fire department, and they have no issues. So as you recall, you don't have to
Need to-
take any action unless you want a hearing on that. Okay? Then, as I told you earlier, I have Resolution 15057 is to authorize the execution of safety township contracts.
Okay, I'll offer resolution 15057, the safety township contracts.
Second?
We'll call the roll. Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes,
Thank you. I'll have you sign those contracts then after the meeting.
thanks, Susan.
Okay, next is fiscal officer.
You know, I did note the agenda, and I did, approve the agenda, but it doesn't have on it, it's the time of the month where we do the month-end analysis, and so I'm just going to provide the month-end analysis on our figures. At least I didn't get it on my draft agenda. I've got the draft. Is it on the regular one? Okay. Well, whatever, we'll go ahead with it here, but this is a month-end analysis for April of 2015, and if you look at the numbers, last month the numbers were just off a little bit because we didn't have all of our monies in, and so they look slightly different from the 2014 numbers, but you can kind of see that our numbers are now starting to even out. The general fund is only a little different because we had received an estate from the state inheritance tax, and that's why the general fund was up a little bit in 14 vis-a-vis this year in 15. But if you look at all the other numbers, our revenue anyway is looking good. It's up slightly in each one of our departments. And so we're pleased with that, but it's actually pretty consistent with what we really are expecting in our numbers. And the number that we always watch is, as you know, are our expenditures, and we do watch them monthly, looking for anything that's deviating from what we would normally be really expecting in that. And as you can see, number one, they're tracking 14, so we think that that's good. And that they're all slightly down on our expenditures too, in that, and this is something that, of course, we all like to see this as trustees and fiscal department, but we're starting to see the budget taking just a little bit of shape. I think our numbers are, at this point, are looking very good for 2015, both on the revenue side, which we watch that, but we really watch our expenditures, and that's what we focus on, keeping our expenditures in line. And as I've said a number of times, it's reflective of administration. Sometimes it's a bottom-up thing because the departments themselves they can have a significant impact on expenditures. And for the last couple of years, all of our departments are mindful of expenditures, and they we're working as a team on this to keep our expenditures under control, and I think it's reflected in our numbers up there that the departments are working hard at this. There's not a debate between the administration and the department heads and the trustees. We work together to keep our expenditures down, and so these numbers are good at this time of the year. So I don't have anything else to say. If you have any questions for me, I can.
I think, Dave, you do a great job with this as fiscal officer too, so that's,
Well, thanks, Bill.
Keep making sure we're in line.
We are.
I can sleep at night.
Well, we've got a good department. That's a credit to Scott Smith, who has joined us and is in the fiscal department, and we have a number of good employees in there that are working hard on these things. And so,
We have a resolution there?
Yeah, we have one resolution, and it's just Resolution 15-059, and it is the air conditioner unit needs to be replaced in the computer and electrical systems room at the police department, and it was not in the original budget, and so we have to replace that unit. So I would request a motion, a resolution to that effect.
I'll move we approve Resolution 15-059.
Second.
I'll call the roll. Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Okay, I have nothing else.
Anything on open discussion of the board?
I did put some minutes in your end basket. I attended a meeting with the county engineer and our staff. I'm working cooperatively on road and bridge, well, mostly road projects.
Nice.
On maintenance and capital improvement. I put a copy of the minutes in your end basket, and Mr. Genuine, I'll send you a follow-up email.
Okay, thank you.
Any hearing of the public?
Do we have anybody that'd like to hearing of the public for non-agenda items? Nobody? Okay.
The next two items on the agenda are a third step grievance hearing and a disciplinary hearing, and by the consent of the parties.
Hey, hold on, Dave, sorry.
Sorry, I have a question.
Oh, yes.
I have a question about the discussion of merging the township with the city and how you feel
Could you do me one favor? I would need you, and forgive me for not mentioning this before, I'll have you sign in, and then if I could have you go up to the DS up there and just give your name and address, and it's only for the record that we have it. That's kind of why we do that. So you're more than welcome to come on up, sign something. Come on up. Make yourself at home. All right. Chandler Riley.
I have a question about the discussion of combining the township with the city and how you feel about that.
Wow, that's a good question.
I'll try. It's been voted on twice. Both times it was overwhelmingly defeated in the township, and both were initiated by the city or by citizens committees, mainly in the city. I don't know of anything. I don't know what you hear in the community, Neil, but I'm not hearing anyone talk about that at this time. We are working closer with the city and sharing services and talking about what we can do jointly, but I don't know of any, I haven't heard any talk of that in the community recently.
Okay.
It's a great question, by the way.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming up and asking it. Okay, David, where were we?
Well, we were...
Thank you again, Chandler.
On the agenda, there's a third step grievance hearing and a disciplinary hearing, and the parties, Ms. Tam and the township, have agreed that we would address both of these matters in executive session. And so we'll be going into executive session to address both of these issues. And so we will need a motion to do that. Whether or not there'll be action after the executive session, we don't really know.
Okay.
And so we would need a motion to go into executive session for the third step grievance hearing, the disciplinary hearing, and for basically for personnel decisions in the police department, discipline.
Okay.
I'll move approval to go into executive session for a third step grievance hearing.
Second?
Now, would that also be for the third step grievance hearing and the disciplinary hearing,
Both, I'm sorry.
Mr.
The
Grant?
third step grievance hearing and the disciplinary.
And for the matter listed under number 9 on the agenda for personnel issues. Well, okay, I'll call the roll then. Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
And we are going into executive session at, looks like 6:36.
We have decided to hold the executive session in this room, so we're going to have to ask for everyone else to clear the room.
Actual science. Join me up there, David?
Yeah.
I do wear those.
Or green and white.
Yeah, I just wanted to put it.
You have no connection in this particular case.
Are you comfortable saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just was
I
letting
think
it.
this is when we cover all of them.
This is what's going to sign. Okay. Okay. You ready now? Okay. Meeting for the Board of Zoning Appeals of Indian Township is now in session. Can we please have the roll?
Mr. Boland?
Here.
Mr. Schlechter?
Here.
Mr. Helber?
Here.
Mrs. C?
Here.
Mr. Hayes?
Here.
Can we get the paranormal activity out of the room? No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve, wait a minute, do we have anything on the last? Yeah, we do, yeah, for the May 4th meeting, do we have a motion to approve those minutes? Has everybody seen them?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Schlachter?
Yes.
Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Helper?
Yes.
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 Okay, do we have any old business? I don't see any on the agenda, but chance if there's any. The one thing we talked about, I don't know if this would be the right place, the meeting time. There was some informal discussion at the end of the last meeting of maybe changing to 4:30. Does that sound?
That would be my preference.
Anybody?
That's fine.
Dan, you okay with that?
I don't have a problem with
Is that one okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Would that help everybody? All right. So I don't know if we need to do formally something. Yeah, we probably should. Okay. So is there a motion to change our meeting times?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, so there's
Make
been
a motion, change the meeting time to 4:30.
Right.
Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mrs. C?
Yes.
Mr. Schlachter?
Yes.
Mr. Helper?
Yes.
Yes.
Now we just all have to remember that. All of us.
Man,
we'll all be
screwed up.
Yeah, I know.
I'll be right back.
So now we're on to new business, and before I bring up the cases, I'm going to ask anybody who might give testimony today, please raise your right hand. And do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you. And now we'll do the first case. We have a variance request from the maximum height for a monument sign of 5 feet required to 9 feet provided for the property located at 3840 North Holland, Sylvania. We have another case along this, a variance request for a minimum of 15-foot setback from the right-of-way for a monument sign required to a 0-foot provided for the property located at 3840 North Holland, Sylvania. We'll hear both cases, but we'll rule on them one at a time. And if we could get the staff report, please.
Sure. The applicant wishes to replace the current pole sign in front of the property with a new electronic message center, EMC, monument sign, adjacent to the location of the current sign. A variance from the setback requirement will be required for the location of the sign, as well as a variance from the height requirement due to the change from a pole sign to a monument sign. The setback requirement for a pole sign is 10 feet from the public right-of-way line. The current sign was originally installed approximately 35 feet from the right-of-way. Due to a widening of Holland-Sylvania Road, the current sign is non-conforming and sits just about on the right-of-way line. The proposed monument sign has a required setback of 15 feet from the right-of-way. The maximum height requirement for a pole sign is 30 feet. The current pole sign stands 8.5 feet. The maximum height requirement for a monument sign is 5 feet, and the proposed EMC monument sign would stand 9 feet. Sylvania Township zoning staff recommends approval of the requested height variance and denial of the requested setback variance. If the applicant wishes to erect a new sign, staff finds no hardship or special circumstances on this property necessitating a variance from the sign regulations of the Sylvania Township zoning resolution. There is nearly 60 feet of open space between the right-of-way and the parking lot to accommodate a sign 15 feet from the right-of-way. Further, staff contends that the intensity of an EMC this close to the right-of-way can be a distraction to the traveling public.
Okay, thank you. Before we ask anyone to speak, any questions so far from the staff report? And if not, we'll ask if there's anybody here to speak on behalf of this matter. I'll ask you to come to the podium and sign in and give us your name, please.
Hi, I'm Brian Heil with Toledo Sign Company. Which one do you want to start with?
I'll let you pick.
Okay. Well, The school's just looking to update their existing, I guess you call it a pole sign. I always considered that a monument-type looking sign, and just kind of low profile. But they just want to upgrade it, incorporate the brick from the school, also add in the electronic message center, and also have their school logo on the sign. I think it's a definite upgrade from the existing, just tying in the elements of the building. And then for the height, you kind of, if you've got, the snows we've had last couple of years, the snow come up 2 feet, the 5-foot height restriction is pretty restrictive in order to do a, electronic message center where you're seeing more and more of these for schools and churches, and then to incorporate a static header panel and include a logo. So that's where we're at for the height.
We'll take it one at a time. Any questions on the height matter? Nice design.
Did you do the sign for Timberstone?
We finished the sign for Timberstone. Another company started that sign, and we ended up installing the electronic message center.
So the message board on this one is similar to the one on the Timberstone sign?
Yeah, it's the same manufacturer, Daktronics, full color. Yeah.
Okay. Because I drove
Yeah,
by
it's
that
not as
today.
large.
Although I would consider that probably more of a pole sign, it seems to me the height of that is
That's 11 feet tall.
fairly, okay, so
Yeah.
it's 2 feet taller than the one you're requesting.
Yeah.
And there's a wolf instead of a bulldog, right?
You're right.
The message boards, it's not even 3 feet, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so it really can't be too distracting. Okay, it's a nice brick. Any questions on the height? And if not, I guess we can go to the setback, and then we'll kind of vote on one. Okay, would you like to address the setback?
Sure. Well, the existing sign that's been there for, this gentleman told me about 20 years, it's actually set back 29 feet from the face of the curb. So there's the grass area between the face of the curb and the sidewalk is 15 feet. The sidewalk is 5 feet wide, and then that existing sign is set back another 9 feet. It is,
Still there?
as far as being obstruction for traffic pulling out of either drive, either way, it hasn't been an issue since the sign's been there. It's set back plenty far. Our concern is if we have to move it back another 15 feet from there, the viewing angle is just going to be a very extreme viewing angle, and the letters, the readability of the sign is going to restrict the viewability or functionality of the sign itself. And then also, I know the staff was concerned about the brightness being a distraction. Went on the Small Business Administration website this morning, and they talk about EMC's Small Business Administration by the federal government, and it had a paragraph about electronic message centers. Well, I'll read the paragraph. Electronic message centers in big print are not a distraction to drivers. It is quite the contrary. Exceptional readability and spicuity means that EMCs actually increase driver safety. The federal government and other reviewers, after conducting numerous studies, analyzing court cases, and reviewing the available literature, have concluded that signs and electronic message centers, if used properly, are traffic safety enhancement devices. Sorry about that. I've got copies of this if anyone would like to see it.
Sure.
Obviously, there's a good deal of green space before the sidewalk.
There's the green space.
Careful of the cords there. That's
That's
right.
fine. Share.
Sure.
Thank you.
You're going to put the sign in the same place?
Yeah, just adjacent, yeah, setback, about the same distance, just on either side of it. We can pull that out. Well, if we can get the old footers out, yeah, we can put it in the same spot.
Let's go back there.
No, I drove by there, there's a bunch of pine trees that have to cut down. Take it physical.
Yeah, that's pretty far. Okay. Any questions, Mr. Heil? Anyone? Yeah, sure.
Are you familiar with the Boy Scout sign?
Yes.
Okay, is it similar to that, only bigger, would you say?
It's similar to that. It's got the electronic message center with the static header paddle.
Same
I know
kind of-
that thing's pretty taller than, it's pretty tall. We didn't make that sign, but,
Okay, but basically the same lighting pattern?
Yes,
Not
yeah.
something that's going to really detract like some of the signs?
right.
Okay.
In all the lighting, even these electronic message centers have built-in photo cells in the sign themselves. On the brighter days, they get brighter, and then, darker days like today, they automatically dim down. But you can also override that with the software, the controlling software, how you send messages out to the sign. So you can override with the capability of the software.
I mean, being an elementary school, I'd have to believe they're going to be pretty careful about what they send out, and school buses coming in. I doubt they'll be having happy hour flashed up there. And, I mean, I think there's some, plus the technology has kind of come a long way on that. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on behalf of this matter?
I just want to say on the technology
Okay,
piece.
we'll need to ask you your name,
I'm sorry.
please.
I'm Jeremy Bauer. I'm the principal of Stranahan. The kids are really excited about this, too, the potential to have an electronic sign. They would help me enter with all the technology integration in Sylvania. I'd like to have our fifth graders be a part of this, just like they have been with the marquee we have right now. But it's exciting to see, having the kids in the office. I mean, obviously I'll approve whatever gets in there, and I'll oversee that. But from a technology standpoint, it's a pretty exciting way to go for the kids. So thank you.
I'm Alan Bacho, Director of Facilities for the district. Just a couple things I would point out. One issue that this will cause if we have to move it back is we do have to move the electric. So there will be an additional cost to do that. If we're able to stay in the same location, they'll be able to have that available right there. I guess the other concern or question I would ask is on a distractibility issue. If you notice there that Stranahan is kind of on a little bit of a curve as you come across the expressway, and I guess my concern would be if we don't have that out there so that the traffic can see it, people are going to be looking to see that sign, and I think it could become a distraction in that manner as well. So there's just those two things I wanted to point out. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the speed limits are, people go by there pretty quickly. Okay. Or any other questions or comments? And then I think Mr. Proctor pointed out too, I'd assume that the trees are going to need some trimming too, if you moved it back.
Those, I'd say the pine trees on the north side of the property. There's 3 pretty good sized pine trees.
Yeah, I think if we move that sign back, we may have to, we got to at least trim those and maybe possibly even take them out.
Take them out.
Right.
Daryl, so if I'm looking at this picture, you're saying to conform, it would have to be 15 feet from this point back?
It's like 2 signs back. 'Cause that's
From
right.
here, you'd move back 15 feet and that's where it would start?
Right.
Basically, okay.
Right.
Pretty close to that.
Somewhere
Is that about the telephone
current
poles?
sign and the telephone pole.
So I guess my question back to you in terms of your recommendation, I agree there's plenty of room. That's not an issue, I mean, physically. But, I mean, I guess my concern would be the opposite way. I mean, it's quite a ways off for cars to see it, is what I'm thinking. I mean, now we're going really far. So,
Well, I guess the issue too, with it being that close to the right-of-way, if Holland Sylvania would again be widened, which isn't certainly out of the realm of possibility, and that sign is practically, in
They'd
the
have to-
right-of-way, or would be probably in the right-of-way.
right, it would have to be moved.
With inside the sidewalk, or 9 feet inside the sidewalk, they'd have to tear all sidewalks up, and they did widen the road some more, so.
Right. But I guess, at least so the school understands that that is a risk. If that does happen, that sign would be going. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Is this, I guess I would ask them, is this something you want to discuss? Are we comfortable to take a vote on now? Okay. I guess we're going to go ahead and vote on this matter now. So do we have a motion? Let's take one at a time. A motion on the variance for the maximum height instead of the code of 5 feet on the monument sign going to the 9 feet that they are requesting.
I'll make that a motion, just as you read it.
Okay, so a motion as submitted.
As submitted, yes.
Second.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Bowen?
Yes.
Mr. Schlocker?
Yes?
Mr. Hilbert?
Yes.
Yes.
And I think in the second, we have the variance request for a minimum of 15-foot setback from the right-of-way, which now they've provided a 0 setback. Any further discussion? And if not, I would entertain a motion on that.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Bowen?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Schlocker?
Yes?
Mr. Hilbert?
Well, as a Stranahan attendee from K through 5, I'll say yes.
Well, you should abstain.
Yeah, that's true. If there's any, yes.
Yes.
Dating myself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good luck with it. Okay, on to the next new business. Give him a chance to step out. Next, we have a variance request from a 35-foot rear yard setback required to a 30-foot rear yard setback provided for the property located at 3747 Farmbrook. Maybe we have a little history on this parcel. Can we get the staff report, please?
The applicant is requesting a variance from the rear setback requirement of 35 feet for a principal building within an R1 zone district. In 1996, the zoning department erroneously approved a residential addition to the rear of the house on the property that brought the rear setback to 30 feet. No variance was applied or approved. The applicant would now like to construct a subsequent addition to the rear of the house in line with the former addition. Thus, the entire rear wall of the house would be 30 feet from the rear property line. Sylvania Township zoning staff recommends approval of the requested variance. Approval of this variance would accomplish two things. It would legitimize the previously approved non-conforming rear setback, and it would square off the new addition with the former addition. Further, staff feels that the granting of this variance would create no substantial detriment to the adjoining properties or alter the character of the residential neighborhood, and that the spirit of the intent of the zoning resolution on this matter is maintained.
Thank you. So I don't forget, it was brought to my, before you came in, I think, a little later.
Yes, thank you.
So if I could ask you to raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you. And I will ask you to state your name and sign in. Is there any questions so far before this gentleman speaks?
Well, I guess on that, go back to that other map. It shows, is the new addition only showing 8 feet off the side lot?
Screwed it up.
One before.
It looks
8 feet from the side yard?
Here, there's a better, I can't really see that number there. I know it does show it though.
This one? Yeah, what's that number right up there to the left? Go all the way to the left, right there.
Yeah, I
That's
can't read
8.
it. I
Right
think it
here?
was 8 though. Wait, there's a little arrow.
Where the arrows are.
This is 8 feet right here, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 8. What it shows on the plan.
What's that?
8 feet.
I can't read it on this one.
Right. But what is the setback on that, from the property line?
Side setback?
Yeah. Is that the addition, I assume?
That is the addition, yes.
I thought the minimum setback was 10.
Be 7.5, total
R1
of
would be,
15.
I believe it's 7 feet. R1 is 7 feet for side setback.
Okay.
Good question. Okay. And before we get to testimony, so we would be, if this variance is approved, it would, basically the structure that's there would then also be conforming?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to-
But
My name is, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Other
go ahead,
questions.
go ahead.
So the zoning permit was given,
96, yeah.
Right,
Just-
for the first edition.
right? No one made the connection that it was infringing into the rear yard.
Right.
It's the trustee.
Gotcha. Okay, sorry about that.
And for the record, I don't think I was here then, so.
I don't think any of us.
No, you're still restraining.
Blamed enough, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
My name is Matt Urick, and, as you alluded to, the purpose is twofold. One is, to create an addition to accommodate my growing family, but second, it's aesthetics. It does look a little odd, with the non-conforming existing structure, so we were hoping to square that up a little bit. But again, the primary motivation is to, create an additional bedroom so that we can accommodate the growing family. And the hope is, that by approving it, we won't necessarily have to relocate from the premises. As also mentioned in the report, it isn't particularly obstructive so that it won't cause issue or, a significant amount of issue with the neighbors, in that it's in the rear corner, so it's fairly secluded, and, it won't provide for direct views from the neighbors.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it, pretty straightforward.
Any other questions or comments on this? Anyone else here to speak on behalf of this matter? If not, I guess I would entertain a motion, since it's always good to get a chance to get things that conform.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. So as presented,
Yes, as presented. As representative. Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
He's got a new bedroom.
Don't have to walk around.
Cute. Okay, last item, a variance request from the maximum height for a privacy fence within a front yard setback of 3 feet required to 6 feet provided for the property located at 3329 Indian Trail Lane. Unless there's any questions yet, we'll go to the staff report.
The applicant is requesting a variance from the maximum height of 3 feet for a solid privacy fence within a front setback. The subject property is a corner lot with frontages on Indian Trail Lane and Kelker Street. The front setback for each of these frontages is 30 feet. There currently exists an 8-foot wooden privacy fence. I believe that should be a 6-foot privacy fence. 15 feet from the public right-of-way of Kelker Street. This fence was erected in 2011. There is no evidence of a fence permit being obtained, and no variance was applied or approved. Sylvania Township zoning staff recommends approval of the requested variance upon the condition that the applicant obtain the necessary fence permit.
And what's our just for the record, what's our typical height limitation if it is not front yard?
6 feet.
6 feet, Okay.
This is six
That was-
6 foot.
6
high.
foot,
Yeah,
yes.
That's
Why is it bringing up?
Yes.
it's 6 feet, not 8.
So the situation is because we have a corner, we have two fronts.
Correct. My name's Scott Bushman, I'm the property owner.
Okay.
And so me and my wife would truly
I'll
like
ask
to
you to sign in
apologize.
too, when you have a chance.
Truly like to apologize for this. We hired what we thought was a reputable fence company, Dan Thornton Fencing. I have the original diagram with our payment to him. He wrote permit on there.
He did, I see it.
We didn't know anything about it till we got the zoning notice that it was incorrect.
Yeah. So that was,
Okay. So basically, what code would have required was 6 foot in the back, and then as it comes along, it should have gone down to 3 feet.
Right, or stayed out of the front right away. If it had been 30 feet from the right of way, then
Oh, I
it
see.
remained 6 feet tall.
Okay.
And that's 30 feet from the sidewalk, right? To the back? Because it's actually 32 feet from the road off.
Yeah, so
are you going to leave the fence in the same area? May I ask a question?
Yes, that's where we'd like to leave it. Exactly where it's
So
at.
it's 30, so yeah, do we know how far it actually is from the right of way?
Well, if Aries is correct, which may or not be the case, it looks like the right of way is probably about 3 or 4 feet in from the sidewalk.
Okay, so I mean, it's obviously less than the 30-foot right of way. Are there any questions?
Did you give us a measurement of what it is from the sidewalk to the,
From the sidewalk to the
To the
fence is 22 feet
22
exactly.
okay, thanks. And it looks like you've got a gate there, and then
Yeah.
a little section, so that's probably another 6 or 7 feet?
Yeah, to move it back to the 30 feet, you would have to move it almost to the garage,
Yeah, and in line there.
in line straight back. And we keep our property, immaculate. We have it all landscaped in the back. I have a sprinkler system in the back, or in the whole yard, actually. Like I said, we thought we had it with this, and obviously he didn't do, and he's not here today. I told him what time the meeting
Would it
was.
need to be, I missed that.
It had to be in line with this.
Yeah, that was my question. Just what did the
Right
defense
here,
company
back,
say about not pulling
There, and then
the
it-
permit?
He talked to Darryl a couple times. He can't provide it. I've asked him for it. Darryl's asking for it.
It's about right. You're saying about 20
Does
Yeah.
the township
from the right of way.
do anything or ever do anything to address contractors that don't do what they,
No, we don't have a,
even authority?
like an approved list of contractors.
The receipt and everything from the diagram, he wrote permit right on it.
Yeah, I see it. yeah. So I was wondering.
Well, this is tougher.
It's been there since when?
We had it built in
11?
2011, when we first moved back from South Carolina.
So how
It's
did
been there a
this,
while.
how did this end up coming before us?
Yeah. Did someone complain or like, why are we,
Well,
you know?
not exactly a complaint. Somebody else in the neighborhood, a corner house, called me about putting up a privacy fence and where they can put it, how high, and all that. And so I instructed them, and then he proceeded to tell me, well, there's a house a few streets away from me. I see it every day, and there's no way it's 30 feet from the right-of-way. So, I had to check it out. And obviously, if we're telling this other person that what the requirements are to get a fence, I can't very well just, let this one slide by. So I sent Mr. Bushman a letter, and he called me back and very politely explained the situation. Well, actually, Mr. Thornton came in, I think even before you had called.
Right.
And seemed to indicate that he had gotten a permit, but yet we don't have one. And if this happened in 2011, we were, electronic long before that.
we should have either electronic copy on file or a paper copy, if not both, and we don't have either. Mr. Bushman doesn't have a copy of the permit, so.
Have you attempted, since this has come up, to reach Thornton Fence?
Yeah, I've been in contact with him. I sent him down to talk to Darrell about it. He can't provide me with a permit for it. But I showed him, he came over, he stopped over, I showed him the paper, I said, you signed for a permit, we paid for a permit. They don't have it, I talked to Darrell a couple times, and you can't provide it for me.
Okay.
So what would you consider the hardship if you were to move that fence?
If I have to move the fence, then I have to, the whole backyard is landscaped along the back edge. I'll have to move my sprinkler system. I have to move all my landscaping. We have a nice pathway that goes along the back of the house where the gate comes in and everything. That's all bricked. I'll have to move everything over or take it out, period.
Is he going to change this fence?
No, he doesn't want to, he's just,
Oh.
he doesn't want to.
Is there-
I thought he was putting up a new fence.
No.
No.
Is there anyone else here to speak on behalf of this matter? I guess this is one, if not, I wouldn't mind adjourning and talking a little bit if the group's okay on that. So what we're going to do is, we're going to adjourn, we'll come out, and we will be voting on it tonight. So just give us a little bit. Take a-
That fence guy still in business?
Yeah.
I think I got everything.
It was interesting.
Thank you. I don't see why not. Who did you give it to?
Tim?
Tom or Tim? It must be back with him.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's right here.
Pretty much took care of this.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been out a few times.
Oh, good.
Not as much as I'd like.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot less than in prior years. Been chillier
That's true.
than usual.
Hopefully that will,
Oh, it will.
where you can get out and enjoy yourself.
Dave Simple. He's right up the street, they're right across from Walgreens.
Oh, is it?
Right across from the same side of the street. He's the treasurer for the township.
Plus all the landscaping, we've already got back there.
Yeah. Well, why is the sprinkler line should run pretty straight, but I watched them put them in, they all run in straight.
Right. So that was like two of them on the other side of the fence.
Well, then you'll have to have more lines put in,
Right.
more lines put in.
Yeah, because that would be just three. Two of them were over to that one and then over down.
Yeah, you'll have to go.
Two can stay out on the other side of that. And one or two more in the back there.
But you just got this one on outside the fence, on the outside.
Well, I didn't know.
Oh, you got hunters.
I got three on the sidewalk that face up towards us this way.
Okay, everybody's coming back.
You been standing there the whole time?
No, I was talking to my neighbor. I stand to work too much, so.
No, when I came in, they all said all rise. So-
Oh, yeah. It's typical.
Okay, I think we're back in session. I would entertain a motion, and one clarification on the motion, that, just so we all know that this, whatever we vote on, if it passes, it's conditional on there still being a fence permit obtained, because there never was one obtained. So Daryl's got that in there, so I just want to make sure that's on the record. Okay.
And that it's, so this is correct, 6 feet correct, and
Yeah.
8 feet was wrong here, so it's correct as written here.
As written. Okay, so we've got a variance request from the maximum height for a privacy fence with a front yard setback of 3 feet required to 6 feet provided for the property. Is there a motion for a variance on the 6 feet?
I'll make that motion to grant the variance,
I'll second
accept the
it.
staff recommendation.
I'm sorry, Dan. I'll second it.
Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mrs. C?
Yes.
Mr. Schweitzer?
Yes.
Mr. Hilbert?
No.
Mr. Haynes?
Yes.
It passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But we'd still recommend you have a conversation with your fence guy.
Tell your fence guy he owes you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Unless there's any other comments, questions, or anything, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
Yes.
Mr. Hayes.
Yes.
Mr. Slacker?
Yes?
Mr. Melber?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. And July, first week of July, our next meeting, or is that the holiday?
When is it?
We have a holiday the first weekend in July?
Yeah, it's like a...
So it's after that.
As of today, we don't have anything for next
Oh.
month, but it doesn't mean it, you know. it's not-
We're still getting paid though, right?
Keep it down.
All right, gentlemen.
We did the right